My childhood sweetheart had fallen for the Velvet Singer and was determined to break our engagement. He said, before I met her, I could settle for just about anything. After I met her, I couldn't stand to see her suffer the tiniest injustice. 10 years of history, and to him it had all been settling. Later, business prodigy Adrian flew home and proposed the very same night. On our wedding day, every inch of Riverdale was carpeted in rose petals. Before we go on, please hit subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. After Lucas Sterling booked out Velvet for 3 straight nights, everyone in town knew he'd fallen for the singer. My circle rushed to comfort me. She's just a Velvet performer, Lucas is probably playing around. Once the thrill's gone, he'll snap out of it. At first I believed them. Until tonight. I sat low-key in a corner of Velvet with a perfect sightline to Lucas. His gaze was scalding, locked on Brianna as she sang, never once wavering. His expression was so tender you could wring water from it. I realized I was crushing my glass between my fingers. The instant their eyes met, the rest of the world dissolved. My heart felt like it had dropped into an ice cellar, so cold my whole body shook. The MC shouted again, tonight's tab is on Sterling. The crowd roared. Brianna snuck a shy glance at Lucas, and the place erupted. I drained the drink in one go. It tasted bitter. The bitterest drink I've ever had. I'd known Lucas since we were kids, yet only now discovered he could burn this hot. Only not for me. Right then I actually regretted saying yes to this arrangement. Our engagement was a corporate merger. The classic two titans need a marriage to seal the deal. When Dad asked if I was willing, I didn't hesitate. I could help the family and spend my life with the guy I loved. On the day we got engaged, I thought I must be the happiest woman alive. After the ring went on, Lucas never had another girl on his arm. Naive me decided he must feel something for me. Even if it was only a flicker, it felt like enough. Check, please. Ma'am, Sterling is covering all drinks tonight, not needed. I pulled $100 bill from my clutch, set it on the bar, and walked out. Word of Lucas and the Velvet Singer finally reached both families. Carrying an engagement ring then running around was a slap at the Vance name. Dad wouldn't have it and immediately demanded an explanation from the Sterling family. Sterling invited me over for dinner, slipped the heirloom bracelet from her own wrist onto mine. Serena, Lucas has his head on backwards. I've already torn into him. Rest assured, the only Sterling daughter-in-law is you. No one can replace you. I nodded sweetly. I understand, Sterling. She liked my reasonableness and added, men like to fool around before the vows. Once he's married he'll settle down. I glanced at Lucas on the sofa. He was hunched over his phone, thumbs flying, a grin tugging at his mouth you couldn't miss. Only when I stood to leave did he pocket the phone. I'll drive you home. His mother shot me a look. Even though I had zero desire to ride with him, I had to agree. Silence filled the car, awkward, thick. I drew a breath to break the tension when his ringtone cut in. Relief washed over me. A girl's voice leaked from the speaker. His face tightened. I'm on my way, don't move. He shot me an apologetic smile. I got the message at once. Just let me out here. Sure. I'd already heard the gist. Brianna, cooing that she'd twisted her ankle, and Lucas's heart had flown straight to her. I looked at my own ankle, just a faint scar almost faded away. Once upon a time, I'd been his girl, too. Our families had been close forever. From kindergarten through college, Lucas and I had never been apart. Even when the girls around him changed, none ever threatened my spot. The saying in our circle went, cross Lucas if you want, but don't cross Serena, mess with her and Lucas goes insane. The scar on my ankle proved it. Freshman year, a senior kept hounding me. After countless rejections he snapped. He lured me to a secluded grove, planning to force himself on me. That scar came from the struggle. Lucas heard, didn't even stop for shoes, sprinted barefoot to save me. You dare touch Serena? You're dead. That was the first time I saw him so furious, neck veins bulging, eyes like something out of hell. He slammed the guy to the ground. If I hadn't pulled him off he might have killed him. It was also the first time I saw Lucas cry. He wanted to fold me into his bones, tears pouring. Serena, don't be scared. I'm sorry, so sorry I'm late. I'll never let anyone hurt you again. Now, for another woman, he dumped me on a curb. My phone buzzed, one of my girlfriends. Serena, come quick. Lucas has lost it. My stomach clenched. I hailed a cab straight to Velvet, Brianna's turf. When I got there, shattered bottles littered the floor. Someone spotted me and shouted, Lucas, stop, Serena's here. I picked my way across the debris in stilettos. A bottle crashed near my feet, splinters slicing my ankle again, but I didn't stop. Lucas had a guy pinned, fists raining down. Brianna stood to the side, hair wild. Seeing me, she dropped her gaze. First time I'd looked her in the eye up close, milky skin glowing, a palm-sized face sporting a flaming handprint. I could guess what had happened. Friends from our crowd, his and mine, pleaded, Serena, thank God. He's out of control, talk him down before someone ends up in the ER. Lucas ignored them. As he cocked his fist again, I caught his arm. Who brought her? Stay out of this, Serena, I'm not letting this scumbag walk. Stop, I said quietly. Any more and you'll kill him. His eyes were bloodshot. You too? You know what this animal tried to do to Brianna? His snarl overlapped with the memory of that night years ago. I let out a bitter smile. The privilege he'd once sworn to me alone now belonged to someone else. No matter how raw I felt, I had to stop him. Our families were fused at the hip, one scandal could drag both empires down. I tugged Brianna in front of him and warned, Lucas, think. If this goes south, you might walk free, but the Sterlings will crucify her. We're in the middle of a mega deal, no ugly headlines. He stared at me, disappointment flooding his eyes. Serena, I never thought you'd be this cold. You, of all people, should. He caught himself and shut up. Brianna's eyes were rabbit red. She tugged his sleeve. Lucas, the lady's right. Don't do anything stupid for me. I'm okay. Our friends glanced my way, uneasy. Of course, watching your fiancé defend another girl is hardly dignified. Brianna, is it? I don't know what's between you and Lucas, but understand this, he already has a fiancé. I spoke softly. Even as the words left my mouth, a tiny part of me clung to the thought, if Lucas says nothing now, I'll forgive him. Brianna's face drained to paper white, fat tears splattered on the marble. Serena, I never meant that. I'm not trying to take Xiaoyuan from you. Sterling Yuan's heart twisted. In front of everyone he pulled Brianna against his chest like a banner. Then, to me, all apologies, Serena, before I met Brianna I was ready to settle for a lifetime, but now that I've found her I can't bear to let her suffer 1 second of hurt. The room went so quiet you could have heard dust settle. Maybe it was my imagination, but the girl still crying managed to shoot me a glance before dropping her head again. The corner of my mouth curled without my permission. You're sure? You want to break the engagement? I thought saying it would feel like suffocation. Instead I was eerily calm, lighter, even. Someone behind me whispered, seriously? He agreed to the engagement himself, and now she's settling? I pretended not to hear and waited for the man in front of me to answer. Sterling Yuan had heard it too, his brows knit tight. Clinging like this is ugly, Serena. I lifted a brow. Got it. Too bad a dynasty marriage isn't something he can end just because he feels like it. I don't have final say, and neither does he. Before I walked out I tossed over my shoulder, you want out? Send your father. Sterling Yuan was ready to burn every bridge, he fought his family outright, determined to be with Brianna. Daddy ached for me, cursing nonstop at home. If we'd known Sterling Yuan was this kind of man, we'd never have agreed to the match. My daughter could stay single her whole life and still deserve better than this humiliation. Ever since Sterling made his spectacle, the whole circle waited for me to become a punchline. A pampered heiress losing to a velvet bar singer, whatever way you spin it, it's hilarious. In the end Uncle Sterling caved. The day he came to annul the engagement, the study door stayed shut from breakfast to dusk. When they finally emerged, the deal was inked. The Sterling family would walk away from the joint project and hand every cent of profit to the Vance family as compensation. I almost laughed. One broken engagement and we net a whole development? Not bad. Sterling Yuan stopped in front of me, mouth opening and closing. I knew the speech, pointless apologies. I didn't need them. In front of both families I slid the engagement ring off my finger, dropped it on the rug, and returned the heirloom bracelet his mother had given me. From this day on we marry whom we choose, no ties between us. Sterling Yuan's face twitched, whatever he wanted to say dissolved into a silent nod. Everyone expected the gossip to drag on, but the eldest Caldwell son chose that exact week to fly home, labeled a prodigy at 12, finished every elective by 15, built his own overseas empire at 18. Most important, he was single, and Riverdale's matchmaking mamas went feral. Post-breakup, Sterling Yuan showered Brianna with heavenly favors, PR packages, screen time, connections. He rammed her straight into showbiz. To parachute her to Super Voice he even spent $50 million buying her a guaranteed slot. The internet drowned in glowing puff pieces, all selling the fantasy that she'd be the next global superstar. Me? I was swamped. After the contract ended, project payout or not, our family's core business hit a reef. Daddy's health slid downhill, Ever since Mom died, he'd poured every ounce of energy into me. He never said a word about the broken engagement, but I knew it stabbed him deeper than it stabbed me. Parents age, and all they want is a safe harbor for their kids. To lighten his load, I started taking over the company, and the charity galas, auction dinners, and yacht parties that came with it. Of course, I still ran into Sterling and his new flame. Friends who knew the saga weren't fans of Brianna. Don't be fooled by the damsel act in front of Xiaoyuan, she's far from simple. Few tears and the guy's at war with his own clan. Watch your back if you cross her. I shrugged it off, until I found myself cornered outside the powder room. Problem? The girl blocking me looked nothing like the waif months ago. Back then she wore a cheap polyester gown and dropped her gaze the instant anyone looked at her. Now Brianna's hair shone like spilled ink, skin porcelain bright. Everything on her was haute couture, blazing with carats, especially the circle of pink diamonds edging her hem. Full princess package. I had to hand it to her, clothes really do make the woman. A velvet lounge act had morphed into a star the city worshipped. Too bad I wasn't part of the congregation. Dawn was the shy duckling. She lifted her chin and stared me down. I know you and Xiaoyuan go way back, but first love never beats destiny. Stay in your lane. I blinked, genuinely confused. And your point is? She clenched her teeth. Tell your friends I'm no homewrecker. The one without love is the real third wheel. I laughed. So the gossip circuit had bruised her, and she'd come to me for damage control. Let me get this straight. You're saying I'm the other woman? I tilted her chin with 2 fingers. Poor little victim? Truth bomb, I doubt you'll ever walk through the Sterling front gate. Right now Xiaoyuan's just high on novelty. Besides, I've already returned the ring. Whatever people whisper is none of my business. I flicked my hand and wiped my fingers on a tissue. Brianna shot me a dagger look. Then, classic, she flung herself to the floor and the tears gushed. Serena, I really love Xiaoyuan. I know you love him too, but he doesn't love you. Why take it out on me? My brows knitted. If I couldn't recognize this trick, I'd wasted every year in Riverdale's Shark Tank. Sure enough, Sterling appeared the next second. He glared as he brushed past me. Brianna, are you hurt? Looking down at them, a sour ache spread through my chest. When Sterling loves, it's laser focused, every watt of it on her. Serena, I don't know what signals you thought you got, but let me be clear, I have never loved you. Stop harassing Brianna. He scooped her up and strode away. My nails bit crescents into my palms. He hadn't even granted me 30 seconds to explain. I stumbled out of the ballroom, dazed, and collided with a solid chest. I glanced up, and froze. I'd never seen that face before, sculpted, almost ethereal, but with eyes so cold they turned beauty icy. An innate, remote elegance clung to him, like old money dipped in liquid nitrogen. Sorry, so sorry. I'll pay for the cleaning. My foundation had smeared across his lapel. Heat flooded my cheeks hard enough to scorch carpet. His voice was flat, effortlessly distant. No need. In that instant the penny dropped. Eldest Caldwell's son, the boy genius turned titan. Adrian. Back after a decade of silence. Caldwell? I ventured. Adrian looked vaguely surprised. Yes? Maybe it was the hallway gloom, but for a heartbeat I thought I saw delight flicker across his face. I fished a card from my clutch. Big admirer. Serena. If you ever have time, I'd love to buy you dinner. I'd almost said discuss cooperation, but half Riverdale wanted to cooperate with him. Dinner might cut through the noise. Adrian accepted the card, eyes roving my features. At last he chuckled softly. Heartless little thing. All right, message received. I'll be in touch. I only caught the last line. Still, tonight hadn't been a total wash. Long after I left, Adrian kept watching the direction I'd vanished, annoyance pricking him, annoyance that the woman could be so forgetful. 10 years. An entire decade had slipped through the hourglass like pale rose-gold sand, and somehow, impossible as it seemed, she had blinked, and the boy she once knew had become a man she no longer recognized. I stood in the marbled lobby of the Caldwell, watching Adrian shoulder through the revolving doors as though the night itself bent to let him pass. The lights caught on the sharp cut of his tuxedo lapels and scattered across the onyx glint of his cufflinks. He moved with the kind of unhurried confidence that made bellboys forget to blink, that made the air feel suddenly thin. And yet, for a heartbeat that stretched like taffy, I honestly thought he was a stranger. My very first instinct was to be clever. I'll invite him to dinner, I decided, chin lifting. Asterisk smooth, casual, friendly. A harmless thank you meal between 2 people who once shared popsicles on the same swing set. Asterisk my pulse fluttered at the idea, as though I, Serena, Could simply dial up the heir to the entire Caldwell empire and offer him truffle pasta in exchange for saving my father's company. How terribly naive, I realized later. People queued from Riverdale all the way to Provence just to watch him lift a fork. And here I was, planning to bribe the Prince of Tech with a two-top reservation and a polite smile. When the engagement announcement first flashed across Riverdale's society feeds, Serena to Chi Xiaoyuan, June wedding at St. Cecilia's, I was in my childhood bedroom folding boxes of couture linens my moth insisted I would need one day. Adrian was halfway across the world, closing a deal in Singapore that would triple Caldwell's AI holdings. He told me afterward that the notification hit his phone like a dull knife, cool metal sliding between ribs, nicking something vital. If she's happy, he had thought, thumbs hovering over the glowing screen, then I'll stay away. I'll be late forever, but at least she'll be safe. 2 weeks later, pictures of Xiaoyuan kissing a velvet bar singer beneath a canopy of fairy lights lit the internet on fire. The sterling heir had publicly cast me aside for a girl in ripped fishnets and neon braid extensions. Adrian was in a boardroom in Zurich when the news reached him. He stood so fast his chair screeched back, startling 50 executives mid-presentation. Adjourned, he barked, already striding toward the elevators. He booked the next Gulfstream home, paperwork half-signed, necktie half-wound, heart fully cracked open. He rehearsed our reunion the entire flight across the Atlantic, every scenario from cool indifference to sweeping movie-worthy declarations. Never once did he picture me squinting across a hotel lobby, polite smile frozen, clearly wondering, do I know you? Inside my skull, gears squealed, tall, cruelly beautiful, vaguely familiar, but the name tag is missing. Meanwhile his brain fired twin emotions like crossed wires, fury, white hot, and a softer, aching tenderness that wanted to wrap me in his coat and swear he'd never leave again. She doesn't remember me? Fine. Let's play, little villain. Let's see how many free dinners you offer before you realize who's sitting across the table. I, of course, remained blissfully unaware of the storm raging behind his composed features. All I saw was possibility, an iron cable thrown to a drowning woman. If I could hook him, this stranger, whoever he was, RRD department might live to breathe another quarter. My father's life's work might yet survive the sterling backlash. Tioch. At night, barefoot in my apartment, I cradled a mug of cocoa and listened to Brianna's shriek through the phone. You've lost your mind. Adrian is Everest in a tailored suit. You can't just climb that mountain because you feel like it. You need gear, oxygen, permits issued by God himself. Steam dampened my lashes. I swallowed bitter chocolate and even more bitter truth. It's only dinner, Brie. Dinner? She snorted. Girl, people auction organs for 10 minutes of his time. You think you're ordering DoorDash. I traced the rim of the mug. Xiaoyuan tossed me aside like stale bread. We need a lifeline. She softened, voice dropping. I'm not saying you don't deserve a win. I'm saying, be careful. That man could buy the concept of mercy and still have change for the moon. For 4 consecutive days I orchestrated coincidences the way some women arrange rose petals, delicate, fragrant, blatantly intentional. Day 1 Riverdale Club, 10:03 a.m. He stepped onto the emerald sweep of the 18th hole. I popped from the hydrangea bushes in a white visor and gloves 2 sizes too big. Hi there. My voice cracked like a preteen flautist. Lost ball? I'm inexpensive. Caldwell's caddy choked on laughter. Adrian's eyebrow arched a perfect, sardonic crescent. He didn't speak, but his gaze pinned me in place long enough for my lungs to forget their purpose. Day 2 Caldwell's favorite trattoria, 8:17 p.m. I lingered by the maitre d' podium clutching a counterfeit reservation printout. The moment he appeared, jacket unbuttoned, Rolex glinting, I pounced. Oh my gosh, no tables left. What are the odds we both love carbonara? We could split. He studied me, lips twitching, then quietly told the host, give the lady my extra seat. I floated through dinner on a cloud of borrowed candlelight, twirling spaghetti, pitching RD between basil scents. He listened, non-committal, swirling Barolo like liquid rubies. When the bill arrived he paid with a black card that probably had its own security detail. I waved my useless wallet. Next time, he murmured, voice velvet over steel. Next time? Progress, I skipped all the way to the rideshare stand. Day 3, the Meridian again, because apparently fate, or my stalker app, put us both there. I marched up, bright as confetti, but before I could manufacture my newest excuse he drawled, let me guess, Vance. Hotels overbooked? Care to split my bed? The world screeched into slow motion. My mouth betrayed me, asterisk lit up asterisk, and I squeaked, we could top and tail. Very platonic. A laugh tore out of him, half amused, half horrified. He flicked his gold room key so it spun, card biting my palm. Dream on. Take the suite. I'm relocating. I tried to refuse, dignity flapping like a torn flag, but exhaustion won. I wheeled my overnight bag into the elevator, heart ricocheting. The corridor smelled faintly of him, sandalwood, chilled winter air, something metallic and electric. Inside, the suite glowed, every surface pristine. I collapsed backward onto a cloud of Egyptian cotton, dizzy with triumph. Asterisk he gave me shelter. That's one favor sewn into the hem of the universe, asterisk thumbs trembling. I texted Brianna, SOS. Adrian, I just got a room together. Send. Wait, no. I jabbed correction bubbles, but the three dots of doom already danced. Then came her nuclear reply, voice note, Serena Eve Vance, if you're alive you better explain in person before I murder you. My phone clattered to the carpet just as a polite knock floated through the suite. I opened the door, Adrian lounged against the jamb, blazer traded for steel gray cashmere, sleeves shoved to forearms. You've begged for dinner. I'm free now. Come. My reply resembled a squeaky toy. He pivoted, strides long and certain. I trotted after like an overexcited terrier, cell left behind. Big mistake, we dined beneath a chandelier made of 10,000 hand-blown glass teardrops. The restaurant staff had cleared every other table, white roses, quartet, champagne. Any on silver stilts. Riverdale's glitterati would dine off this gossip for months. Across from me, he carved duck confit with surgical precision. Candlelight painted bronze over cheekbones that belonged on a currency. I inhaled courage. Caldwell's branching into AI-driven diagnostics, correct? Dances, small, yes, but our neural algorithms already outrun MIT Spada. If you're looking for agile partnerships, his fork paused midair. Our gazes locked. Something fluttered inside my ribcage, hope? Terror? I couldn't tell. At last he smiled, lazy and lethal. If the face of the proposal is you, then sure. We can talk. Heat rushed to my ears, the room blurred into watercolor. Did the crown prince just say yes because of me? I barely tasted dessert. All I wanted was to sprint back, wave the contract under Dad's nose, prove I hadn't been idle while our stock flatlined. Outside the hotel, night wind lashed the awning. I clutched my coat, rehearsing victory speeches, and slammed straight into Xiaoyuan's chest. His fingers clamped my upper arms like steel bear traps. Fury rolled off him in waves. Tell me it isn't true, Serena. Say it. I yanked free, pulse jackhammering. Have you lost your mind? Everyone's saying you slept with Caldwell to land some deal. Is your pride so cheap? Something brittle snapped behind my ribs. You forfeited the right to question my morals the moment you stuck your tongue down Brianna's throat in public. A passing valet gasped. Gossip lit up faces like Christmas. Xiaoyuan's color drained. If you needed money you could have asked me. Don't whore yourself, crack. My palm met his cheek so hard the emerald ring left a welt. Silence detonated. You chose Velvet's favorite songbird, remember? You made me an X stay in your lane. I swept past, heels clicking, spine steel. Yet underneath the bravado, nausea churned. Please let tomorrow's headlines focus on my business pact, not my imagined sex life. Inside the elevator I finally checked Notifica. Tie-ins and my stomach imploded. Brianna's first screenshot, a gossip site reading, Serena Adrian, sweet secrets. Below it, a blurry pic, me, giddy, clutching his room card, him, smirking. The universe had twisted my typo into national erotica. I groaned so loudly a housekeeper dropped her towels. Morning brought new disaster. Xiaoyuan had been filmed accosting me. Internet sleuths traced Brianna's pink streaks in the background of Velvet selfies. Within hours netizens crowned her professional song whore who broke Riverdale's sweethearts. Sponsors yanked endorsements. Her new single nosedived off charts. My phone vibrated nonstop, unknown numbers, angry voicemails. Fix this, one message read. If she harms herself, her blood is on your hands, guilt threaded through my fury. I never asked to be painted martyr, but I won't scrub her reputation for free. Afternoon, father buzzed security when Xiaoyuan tried to storm our gate. I watched on the intercom as Dad waved a broom like a broadsword. You embarrassed my daughter once already. Scram before I add assault charges. The gates clanged shut. I almost pitted my ex, almost. Days later, the Starlight attempted to float us down the Honey River on a cruise ship shaped like a crystal swan. Organizers hoped ocean air might dilute scandal. They underestimated Xiaoyuan's devotion to chaos. I escaped the grand ballroom for starlit quiet, champagne flute balanced on the rail, waves licking steel. Footsteps approached, Brianna, pale but determined, Xiaoyuan shadowing like a bodyguard. Can we talk? She whispered, voice quivering. I lifted a brow. If you plan to jump, the railing is higher on the port side. Xiaoyuan barked, apologize, Serena. One sentence, and this ends. Brianna tugged his sleeve. Let me handle it. She stepped closer, perfume a cloud of honeyed peony. Serena, I'm sorry for the pain I caused, but please, call off the trolls. My career, I set the flute down, pulse a steady drum. Your choices sank your career. I owe you nothing. Xiaoyuan's voice dropped lethal. If you don't fix this, I'll release old footage, Vance Labs bribing FDA consultants. Your father will rot. For a breath, the ocean itself seemed to hold. Then adrenaline surged. Blackmail? How perfectly sterling of you. He stepped nearer, Brianna darted behind me, blocking retreat. Before I could whirl away, her palm shot to my sternum and pushed. The world capsized. Sky and sea swapped places. My spine cracked against the railing, gravity yanked me over. Champagne sailed, glass shattering like icicles. Cold slammed my lungs. Salt scoured my throat. I tumbled, gown billowing black seaweed, down into moonlit oblivion. This is how the press will find me, waterlogged cautionary tale. Then, splash, silver froth swallowed me whole, pressure clamping every bone. Above, a second splash echoed, fainter. A silhouette sliced through reflected starlight, broad shoulders churning froth. Adrian? My vision pixelated, consciousness guttered. If I drown tonight, at least the last face I see is the one I accidentally failed to recognize. The water sealed me in obsidian silence, and the night folded like velvet wings. But somewhere, strong arms hooked beneath mine, hauling toward life, toward breath, toward a story still unfinished. Help, MMPH, somebody help. Raw survival instinct had me thrashing in the open water. A dark silhouette seemed to grow larger in the distance, then I was folded into warm arms. When they dragged me onto the sand and I finally blinked the salt away, I saw who had pulled me out. It was Adrian. Seawater had rinsed the usual frost off him, trading it for an almost ascetic air of mystery. His timing had been perfect. I hadn't swallowed much. The instant I was on my feet, I marched over to Brianna, fisted a handful of her hair, and yanked. I didn't ask why she'd shoved me. She had done it, motive was irrelevant now. My palm stung as I cracked a slap across her face hard enough to rattle my WR. Ist. That was when Jordan Sterling finally jogged up. Without a word he pushed me aside. Serena, what do you think you're doing? Why don't you ask your darling girlfriend? She tried to feed me to the ocean. If Adrian hadn't fished me out, you'd be picking out funeral flowers in a week. Jordan stared at Brianna, stunned. He clearly couldn't picture it, probably thought I'd staged the whole thing. Oh, judging by his face, maybe he even believed I'd framed her. If you doubt it, pull the security footage, Adrian said, draping a dry jacket over my shoulders in a gentleness I'd never heard from him. You're freezing. Cover up. I shot him a grateful look and pulled the coat tighter. Brianna's face went paper white. She clutched Jordan's sleeve. I didn't mean to. I only wanted to steady Serena, but my foot slipped and, I'm so sorry, Serena, really. I'll jump too, if that will make you happy. She actually leapt, flailing, back into the waves. Jordan dove after her. I felt hollow all of a sudden, the taste of ash in my mouth. Thank you for dragging me out, I said, sincerely, because I swim like a rock. Adrian dropped a non sequitur, I'll take responsibility, then strode off, leaving me wind-whipped and bewildered. If I hadn't understood the line, I figured it out fast once I got home. Adrian showed up before dawn, ring in hand. Headline worthy enough? My father's grin almost dislocated his jaw. Every Caldwell alive, from the old patriarch to toddlers, crowded our living room. For the first time the house felt dollhouse small. Before I knew it, Caldwell had me seated beside her. Oh, so this is Serena. Absolutely gorgeous, you two look like a magazine spread, matches made in heaven. Adrian's face stayed neutral, but the tips of his ears flamed red. I eyed him, so this is your idea of taking responsibility? Kind of abrupt, no? He avoided my gaze and looked away. Dad still called me into the study for a private word. Serena, how do you feel about marrying into Caldwell? I know what happened on the yacht tonight. That boy has been laser focused on you. All that talk of corporate cooperation? Smokescreen. Joy flickered. Who can refuse tall, rich, and smoldering? Still, I cornered Adrian later. I needed an answer to the obvious, why me? Even if I weighed family interests, I'd probably say yes. Serena, I've wanted you for years. When I heard you were engaged to that Sterling kid, I kicked myself for not coming home sooner. The day your engagement ended I was celebrating, couldn't wait another minute. Have we even met before? Don't you remember? When we were kids I fell into the sea. You couldn't swim either, yet you dove in, babbling that you'd take responsibility for me. By now his ears were neon. I blinked. Seriously? That innocent? A memory surfaced, grade school me collecting shells while dad vacationed us at the beach. I spotted a boy struggling in the surf. Blame superhero cartoons, without thinking I'd flung myself in. I'd had no clue the kid was Adrian. I agreed to the engagement. Apparently Adrian had prepped for victory. He produced documents gifting me Caldwell shares. 50% of the company? My eyes bulged. Talk about a lavish opening bid. Caldwell whispered that her son had tracked my life for ages. His years abroad had been a campaign to earn enough clout to negotiate marriage on his terms. A mess of emotions churned in me. Out of sight, someone had hustled this hard for me. I glanced at the man beside me, brain short-circuiting, rose on my toes, and kissed him. News of our engagement rocketed through Riverdale. The ceremony was set for the 20th of next month. Gossip crowned me lucky, lose a Sterling, gain a Caldwell. I didn't bother correcting them. My love life was cruise control. Jordan's hit a ditch. Word was Brianna had wound up pregnant, yet the Sterlings refused a wedding, baby welcome, bride not. Brianna threatened self-harm. Then, inexplicably, the Sterlings caved. Their ceremony beat mine to the kale. NDAR, no engagement fanfare, just a hotel ballroom with flowers. Jordan hand-delivered my invitation. Congratulations on your upcoming wedding, I said, polite script. He made no move to leave. Serena, you're really marrying Adrian? Marriage isn't a game, don't do it out of spite. Think twice. Thanks. I've thought. But, you loved me. Marrying a man you don't love won't make you happy. I rolled my eyes hard. Who says I don't love him? Adrian treats me like glass and hands me half of Caldwell. What's not to love? Post-proposal Adrian ripped off the Ice King mask. The rumored aloof prince turned out to be a clingy kitten. Kitten? More like bulldog, his jealousy could fog windows. Jordan looked drained, zero groom-to-be sparkle. I regret it, Serena. If we hadn't broken it off, we'd be the ones marrying today. There's no rewind. On Jordan's wedding day I sent a gift through a courier. Not out of spite, Adrian flat out grounded me. Serena, am I not enough? Why chase after another man, he murmured, pinning me to the mattress, breath hot on my ear. I didn't see the floor until the next evening. My own wedding barreled toward me. Tight schedule, yet I had literally nothing to plan. Adrian, you secret romantic? You commissioned my wedding gown 3 years ago? Figured if you married someone else I'd still give you the dress. That day, Riverdale turned into an avalanche of rose petals. In the pews I caught Brianna's scowl. Jordan murmured something and she stomped off alone. He stayed put. I stopped scanning the crowd, my world was the man waiting for me. Thank you for showing me I'm worth loving. You are. We bailed on the reception and flew straight to Sonia for our honeymoon. Home again, I promptly got pregnant and exiled Adrian to the floor for months. Never spoil a man too much. At 3 months I learned Brianna was already divorced. Jordan started staying out all night, haunting Velvet, and after one fight she lost the baby. With no heir, he paid her off. Divorced, and shipped her abroad. I sighed in relief, grateful for the happiness I'd found. Thanks for listening. If you liked the story, hit like and share it with friends. Tell us what you think in the comments, subscribe for more, and see you next time.